Welcome to the November 15th Select Board Sewer Commissioners meeting. All members are present, with Christina Pedoni being on Zoom. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is public comment, 15-minute period for anybody that wants to make a public comment. Hearing none. I missed that, sorry, Chief. Next item is approval of meeting minutes for September 20th, 2023, regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
She can't vote unless you can hear her.
Approval of meeting minutes for November 8th, 2023, regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Review and vote to approve the warrants as printed in the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Consider approving the hiring of Police Officer Matthew Seymour as recommended by Chief Dennis Minich, effective December 1st, 2023, upon appointment oath to be administered by the town clerk.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Well, let's see if we want to actually hire him, see what Dennis has to say.
Sure, so this is our newest candidate for the West Boylston Police Department, Mr. Seymour. He will be coming on board to cover a transition in the department, and we are more than pleased that he has chosen West Boylston as his new home. And I'm going to turn it over to the chief and Mr. Seymour to tell you a little bit about him personally.
So Matt Seymour is currently an officer in Princeton. He has been for the previous 9 years. Before that, he started as a dispatcher, which I love. I think every cop should start as a dispatcher, because I did. He happens to live in Barry right now. He has great credentials. If you know about Post, he meets all the credentials for Post, passed all the medicals, physical. I don't know about that, but psychological as well. And I can't wait to have him as part of our team. Want to add anything? Good.
I'm just very fortunate to be here and work in such a nice town with such a good organization and chief, and can't wait to be a part of the community.
Anybody have any questions?
We have a good chief.
Say again?
We have a very good chief.
Thank you very much. I told him to say that. I said, start out with that, and then they'll know that he's not always truthful.
That's why I said that, chief.
All right, if we have no other questions, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Shall we remain here for the...
Yep, Damien's going to swear him in here. Yep. I would do it up front so you can get in the camera. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, raise your right hand. I, Matthew Seymour, solemnly swear that you don't have to, you can just listen, that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the laws and ordinances of the town of West Boylston, the rules and regulations of the West Boylston Police Department, and I will do the best of my ability to faithfully perform the duties of the police officer in and for the town of West Boylston during the continuance of the office effective November 15th, 2023. You can say I do that.
I do.
All right, you can sign it, that's it.
Or we grab a picture, would you mind?
Christina just didn't want to be in the picture.
Yeah, she just, I understand that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
very much. Thank you. Might not be new. You're right.
Give them a minute to file out. Guys can stay for the rest of the meeting.
A lot of good stuff, a lot of good stuff.
No, not yet. I'll give.
Tax class, assessor, board of assessors.
All right, next item on the agenda is a public hearing. The clerk read the public hearing notice.
The Select Board of the Town of West Boylston will hold a public hearing on the application from F&F Restaurant Group LLC DBA Down Manor Restaurant, 42 West Boylston Street, West Boylston, Mass. 01583 for the transfer of on-premises restaurant all alcoholic beverages license 00017-RS 1364 from Kista Corp. DBA The Manor Restaurant. The public hearing will be held on Wednesday, November 15th, 2023 at 6:05 at 140 Worcester Street, room 210, West Boylston, Massachusetts, 01583. For additional information or to review the proposed application, contact the Town Administrator's Office. Interested persons, groups, and agencies are invited to attend and participate. A hybrid meeting with Zoom, and the Zoom information's on the notice.
Floor's yours.
Chairman, members of the Select Board. My name is Bill O'Neill. I'm an attorney in Clinton, and I have Frank Kula with me. He is one of the partners of the F&F Corporation. About a year ago, we were before you, a little over a year ago, and we had the transfer, or the appointment of Mr. Kula as the bar manager. And I described, and Mr. Fodiatis was with us at the time. Unfortunately, he's not here this evening. Frank told me that he tested positive, so he's laying low right now. But this is kind of the second part of the transfer, if you will, whereby the first one being with Mr. Kula being appointed as the new bar manager, this one to transfer the liquor license, and hopefully very soon to follow would be the total transfer of the property and to go along with it. So, as I described last year, Mr. Kula and his partner, they both immigrated to this country. They've worked for Mr. Fodiatis for 12 or 13 years each. And he thought it was going to be a nice transition for them to move in as he decided to go in a different venture or retire, and so that's where we are. We've filed everything, have all the receipts if you want. And we paid the fee to the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission, and certainly would open to any questions or anything that we can answer for you.
Any members of the board have questions?
I assume no timing changes, right?
No time, operation, times of operation, no.
Everything is going to be the same,
There's no changes in much of anything, just the same operation as before?
same operation as
Everything's in order with what you guys need? Anybody from the public have any comments?
I know the manor to be a good partner to the community, to participate in some extracurriculars, my own personal pursuits. They sponsor our monthly meetings, the CMS, Central Mass Striders, board meetings, so they're actively engaged in the community as well.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll entertain a motion to transfer the license.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Next is consider application for manager change for M&T. Oh, that's completely different from this. It's not another.
They are all set.
I'm
Thank
thinking,
you.
I'm thinking that
Thank
was
you.
the next thing on this. You're all set?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I thought they were related.
No, that's a Mills, I guess. That's a Mills.
Now, consider application for manager change for M&T Hospitality LLC.
Let's hear.
That's me.
So you'd want to
Tell us what you
state
wanna
your
do, Tony.
name? Yeah.
Elton Topi. I don't know if I told you guys know me, but Elton is the what's on the books.
Who are you looking to change from and to?
So my business partner, from my business partner Mark to me, nothing else is changing. He's still a business partner. It's just a change of managers.
Any questions from the board? Any issues or filings needed with you guys?
Nope.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to,
What
yeah.
motion we do approve?
Motion to
Yes.
approve the manager change.
Yeah,
Change, okay.
so,
Second.
any discussion?
Jay, sorry.
Jay.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved, you're all set, Tony.
Thank you.
Do I need to stay for the next one, for the one-day license, or no?
You don't have to, but you can. So-
Thank you, everyone.
Consider application for manager change for Wachusett Inc. No.
So I'm Kara Cullen from Wachusett Country Club, looking to get a manager to my name on it.
Questions from the board?
Same question, I know.
Same.
Change from
Any real
whom
change?
to whom?
For my father, Donald Murray, to Kara Cullen.
Very timely.
COVID.
There you go, that's what we'll use.
COVID.
My only question is everything's all set on, okay? Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the manager change for Wachusett Inc.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We have 7 minutes. Chief, we can move on to you. Do you need more than 7 minutes? And we're going to skip over the next public hearing, then we'll have an update on ambulance billings rate from the fire chief.
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Well, I don't want you to take like 20 and then have the public hearing be late.
Shut me off at 6, all right? So good evening, Chief Mark Sadowski, West Boylston Fire Department, and with me is Deputy Bob O'Connell. We were asked to speak tonight briefly on the, very briefly, less than 7 minutes, on our ambulance revenues and how that's going. So last year, around this time, I had made a proposal to the board to increase our ambulance rates that we were billing for the services. It hadn't been done in several years prior.
Typically, it's done on an annual basis. So we were a bit behind the Worcester County average for what we were billing for our ambulance services. So we had made that correction at that time. Now that it's been almost a year, we wanted to report back and kind of show you what the benefits and what the production has been from that. So I believe that you each were given a copy. I had done basically a 5-year look back as to what our ambulance revenues were. You'll see the chicken scratch at the bottom is my notes, because this is something I've been tracking for quite some time. I look at the monthly average trends, because obviously there are some months that are higher than others based upon number of ambulance transports, the nature in which of what the transport consists of, and when the insurance companies pay out. So you'll see that the trend was very stagnant for several years, with consistent monthly averages and consistent annual totals. And then after we had made those adjustments last year, you'll see quite a significant improvement in those return receipts from the second half of FY '22 and now into the first quarter and third of well, I guess we're in '24, I'm sorry, so it's FY '23 and into FY '24. So we are on par to be almost double of what we were 2 years ago. So do you have any questions with that in particular?
How much of that is related to back billings through jail?
So there was a small portion, and I'll actually let the deputy speak to it, but what ended up happening was we found that the jail had, they provide insurance for the inmates. That was not known to the billing company. And so for years, they had, or a significant period of time, as far as we could look back, had been billing the inmates directly at their private residence. They weren't there, they weren't gonna pay. Once we got that connection made, we weren't able to pursue any of the old back bills, because with most insurances, you have about a 90-day window to get those submissions in, which those were all passed. So starting at that point and coming forward, we've been successfully able to collect on those.
Okay.
But I'll let the deputy speak to that, because he's actually been tasked with following up on a lot of the unpaid bills and making sure that we're doing our part to get all the information in accurately, because that's a big part of, and timely, because those are the big components of getting the billing submitted and to make them billable, is to meet those windows. So.
And a major factor in that point was through communication with ComStar, the ambulance billing company. Now they're seeing the actual address, the patient pickup location, and correlating that to a responsible party, aka the jail in this particular case. But also we had similar situations going to our long-term care facilities, our group homes, stuff like that, where, so now we've got a better line of communication between, less from us and the patient, but from the ambulance billing company, ComStar, to the pickup location to have a point of contact, because ComStar is a billing company, they're not a collection company. So the more information we get them, and now that they have some addresses are highlighted in their system, they automatically put another layer of not effort, but procedure into there, so they're going directly to a point of contact within that group organization, whether it's the deputy at the jail or a manager at the group home, so these invoices can get filtered through in the right direction, whether it's insurance, social support, or sometimes they have private pay type arrangements within the organization, because the patients might be private pay or something like that, like in a long-term care facility. So the communication portion is definitely better streamlined, and I've also been staying abreast of that. So if there are points of contact that change, then I take point person in facilitating the recommunication and keeping the system moving in that direction for those particular cases. With the long-term, the one address facilities are, critical to the, the call volume that we have between long-term, the group homes, and the jail, of course, excluding 181 West Boylston Street.
Are we able to collect all the money?
We'll never
Or
collect
after
all
that?
the money. So there's a lot of different components of medical billing, particularly with Medicare and Medicaid. They have set rates that we can't influence, and we're not allowed to send those to collection. One thing we are allowed to do with that is there's a grant program called CPE, which was the second attachment, and I believe that was sent to you. So for the first time, on behalf of the town of West Boylston, I submitted the application to try to get some of this grant reimbursement money specific to Medicare and Medicaid. And based on the initial preliminary numbers, we're going to be awarded approximately $42,000 in June for last year's ambulance service, specific to the Medicare and Medicaid. It'll get reviewed and audited during the winter months, and then the actual payments come out in June. So in addition to these revenues that we've shown in that first component, we're anticipating an additional $42,000 from that grant. There's no guarantee with the grant. It's been perennial for several years, but as with all grants, we don't know if the funding is going to continue. So we will continue to apply for that annually, as long as it's there and available to us.
Thank you, Chief.
Anybody else?
Close enough?
Oh, I still have questions, though.
We're on their time now, okay? All right.
Obviously, big jump in numbers, building the budget, going out. Did you anticipate that big additional revenues?
We had anticipated some additional revenues, but not to this extent. We didn't rely upon this level.
That's the answer I was hoping for. I have no further questions.
Yep, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. That's just really good news.
One of the few departments that can actually help self-fund themselves.
We're doing everything we possibly can, so I just, hope
So, I mean,
hope
just-
that's identified that we're.
Just so the public knows, I mean, we're looking at these numbers, the numbers we're looking at, FY '21 ambulance receipts were 417,000. FY '22, they were 472,000. FY '23, they were 628,000. And the changes are only implemented halfway through the year, so it's going to be even more at the end of the year. So it's a substantial amount of money coming into the town from the changes that were made, so thank you.
So those changes are twofold, right? So there's a billing change, there's the billing rate change and the billing procedure change. that you
Yes.
discussed, right? So roughly, how much of that increase is just good procedure versus the increase?
The increase was about 22% for the actual billing rate, and then the rest is procedural. And again, those numbers vary quite a bit, so it's hard to say exactly how much is from each component, but we are definitely seeing, dividends being paid on both sides.
Right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Do you have the second public hearing one?
I do.
All right, next, we have the 625 public hearing on the tax classification.
At 6:28.
You can always be later. You
Yes,
can
I know.
never be earlier.
Notice is hereby given that the West Boylston Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, November 15th, 2023, at 6:25 PM in the Select Board's meeting room of the municipal offices located at 140 Worcester Street, West Boylston, Mass., in conformity with the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 56, for the purposes of holding a tax classification hearing so as to establish the local property tax rate or rates to be assessed to each of the following classes of property for fiscal year 2024 for the period from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Residential property, open space property, commercial property, and industrial property. All interested groups, persons, and agencies are invited to attend and participate with Zoom meeting information and IDs on the notice itself.
Do we have the ability to project this on,
We have enough trouble.
if no, it's not, it's,
You want to put it on there?
oh, I mean,
I'll let 'em you have it on your computer?
yeah, I'm just thinking if the public that are watching it, they might want to see this.
Are you on there so you can share your screen up there?
Yes,
I'm not on anything, I'm not a technology guy. If you're gonna,
Yeah, but again, he need to connect to,
So I like how you delayed
he's not on
the
Zoom.
start here, and now you're delaying even further.
No.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Can't do it? Okay.
No.
No problem. Take it away.
All right,
You just
good
gave me a
evening.
toy to play with?
Just throw those away at the end of the night, I guess, that's it.
All right, so it's that time of year where the Board of Assessors comes before the selectmen, to, part of the process in setting the tax rate. So important note for people at home, this is not for the selectmen to vote on what the rate is, but whether or not to split the pieces of the pie of how much the residential pays versus what we call CIP, commercial, industrial, personal property. So if you're looking at your page 2 of your packet, we're here to discuss steps 4, 5, and 6. Moving on to the terminology and what we're about to talk about, and I'm just gonna highlight some important numbers for this fiscal year. So the levy, the tax levy is the amount of property taxes to be raised. The levy amount is determined by the budget, which is determined at annual town meetings. Total amount of the approved budget less revenues from all other sources, like motor vehicle excise, municipal fees, state aid, and the balances taken up through property taxation. For fiscal '24, West Boylston will be raising $21,535,037.48. This is an increase over fiscal '23's levy of $742,664.08. Pretty important to note that for the most part, your budget was flat. This increase in the levy is pretty strictly Prop 2.5, which we'll talk about in a second, and then adding in new growth. So excellent job, everyone involved in the budgeting process for keeping a tight budget this fiscal year. Levy ceiling. The levy ceiling is the 2.5% of the full taxable value of the town. In West Boylston, the total valuation is $1,457,039,071. 2.5% of that, which is our levy ceiling, would be $36,425,977. New growth. So new growth, which I was just alluding to, that is anything new that is taxed for the first time this fiscal year. So additions, new constructions, new businesses, anything of the like. Those revenues this year are $241,711. Sorry, I'm sticking to my papers here. I'm going to kind of skip over the next section because we're just going to go down to the bottom graph, which explains how we get to the levy. So in the bottom grid, you'll see we always start with the prior fiscal year's levy limit. So in '23, the levy limit was $19,991,869. We add in the Prop 2.5, the $499,797, and then we add in new growth, the $241,711, which gets you to what the levy limit would be, $20,733,377. The only way to go above that levy limit is through debt exclusions, overrides, which we do have excluded debt, which is down. I don't know what it was last year, but it's down quite a bit. So we have $815,502. So our maximum allowable levy for fiscal '24 could be $21,548,879. You'll see at the bottom what we have for excess levy, so amount that we could appropriate through taxation, which we are not, is the $13,841.52. All right, so next page, page 4. This is the breakout. This is what the assessors report to the state annually. This is what we call our LA4. It's the breakdown of all property classes, the total parcel count, and the total valuation of each of the classes.
the one that most people are curious about and worried about when it comes to property taxes is your property type 101, which is our single families. So down below, we'll see the valuations by class before we talk about shift. Residential makes up 83% of our total town value, taxable valuation. The CIP, which we've been talking about, commercial, industrial, personal property, is 17%, just a little over 17%. And all those numbers come from that LA4 that you see above you. So tax impacts, page 5 on the handout. So looking at currently what the total levy is and total taxable value, for fiscal '24, a single tax rate comes out to $14.78. The average home value is up. So for fiscal '24, average home value, and for people at home, average home value is fictitious. This is from our LA4. We take the total single-family value divided by the total number of single families. That's where we're coming up with this. So obviously, people's tax bills will vary, and the average increase will vary depending on your home. So average home value up, $467,300 from fiscal '23, $437,000. But because our tax rate is coming down 80 cents, the average increase is only $98.21. This is the lowest I've seen in West Boylston in years. And I service 35 towns throughout the state, and this is the lowest I've seen in any of my towns so far this year. So again, great job on keeping budget tight for fiscal '24. So shifting the tax burden, what does that mean? What is this all about? It's divvying up the pie from the residential class to our CIP, and the little grid down below kind of shows different variations. If you just wanted to save your average residential bill that $98, you would have to push 7% to the commercial class, which would be over $1,000 increase to their average tax bill. Typically, what I'm seeing in most our communities, if you were to consider any type of shift, you'd want that CIP percentage to be 25% or above. We're only at 17, to make any real impact where you wouldn't be harming your commercial base and your businesses within town versus just kind of saving your residential folks. So you'd really have to push quite a bit to the commercial class and increase their taxes substantially to make any difference in West Boylston. For that reason, the Board of Assessors recommends that the Select Board adopt a single tax rate applied to all classes of property in West Boylston. Also, keep in mind, we do have several Chapter 61 parcels in town, which those are your farming parcels, your recreation, forestry, and those classes of properties also fall under the commercial class. So you'd be pushing that higher tax rate on your farmers and other folks. And that is our presentation this year.
Questions, comments from the board? My comment is I would favor the residential factor of 1.0, no shift. We've been slowly building our commercial base. We're attractive to commercial people coming in. Not only our tax rate, which is exact opposite of Worcester, our electric rates are phenomenal too. So I think we want to keep it where it is. For the reasons that they said about shifting it, but we want to maintain the business-friendly focus for the small business base that we have and try to grow that. Business properties generally use a lot less services than residential, so they're actually helping offset the residential costs. So that's my 2 cents.
To follow on that, I think it's working because we got Curtis and Cogmetics recently to come in, leaving Worcester, which is the unbalanced rate, to come here.
Right.
So I think this, I agree with the strategy, I think it's working.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. Through you, you said that this was what you've seen as the lowest increase across the community so far. Do you have a working hypothesis of why that might be yet, or is that still unknown?
Largely because I think your budget was relatively flat. A lot of towns I'm seeing, on average, I think there are 5 to 8% increases to the budget. Which, yes, values are going up in many communities, but it's not offsetting it enough to realize that, hey, my bill's not going up that much. So I've been seeing anywhere $300 to $600 average increases in residential bills.
Thank you.
All right.
But the property values are increasing all over the places, right?
Yes, they are. Some classes more than others. Apartment buildings obviously are a lot hotter. There's not a lot of housing available, so rental market's up. We're seeing a lot of investors buying multifamilies, whether they're 2, 3, 4 families. Not even advertised for market, but they're just calling up and buying them up to make a conglomerate with investment firms and multifamilies because the rental market is so strong. So those, I've been seeing those go up 20 to 30% a year over the last few years. Yeah, it's been crazy. And residential, I think, on average, we were 7% roughly on the single families this year. It's not horrible.
Unless you're trying to buy.
Yeah. Coupled with the interest rates, almost 9%.
There's a proposed motion if somebody wants to make that.
Motion to
one
close the
question.
public hearing?
I just have one question. The excess levy capacity of 13,800,
Look at this.
how does that compare to other communities? In terms of percentages?
It's pretty varied. I mean, that one's pretty varied. I'm trying to remember what Sterling's just was. I think Sterling's is pretty comparable.
But Sterling, for a long time, had quite a large excess levy capacity, and they've
Yeah,
been
it's-
creeping against it. So
Yeah.
the problem with that is you can drastically increase the budget without increasing taxes, but have a huge impact on the tax rate payer. So to have more stability to the rate payer, in my opinion, it's good to go as close as possible.
Boylston is about the same, and I think Sterling's is a little higher on the excess levy capacity, but like Jen said, it did come down quite a bit this past year.
Got it. Thank you. So moved.
Well, any public comment?
Okay, now motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now I'll entertain a motion. There's one that's written, if somebody wants to read it.
The whole thing? Oh, proposed. I make a motion that Town of West Boylston Select Board votes in accordance with the MGL Chapter 40, Section 56, as amended, the percentage of local tax levy which will be borne by each class of real and personal property relative to setting the fiscal year 2024 tax rates and set the residential factor at 1.0 with a corresponding CIP shift of 1.0 pending approval of the town's annual tax recap by the Mass Department of Revenue.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Back to old business.
Newhouse Circle, we are going to push off to the December.
No, it's on here.
So, just so the board's aware why we're pushing this off, this is the final step for the town to take the road before we record. I've been going back and forth with Mr. Ali and his attorney, and you might recall previously when we were talking about adopting the road, that there was an easement location change. And so there's been a little bit back and forth about what that, should we refer to the definitive site plan as the legal description or the as-built plan? It was gonna be too contracted today to get that done, so Mr. Ali agreed to put it over till December 1st. He's gonna get new plans printed on Mylar for recording, so. But
Doesn't
we're-
change anything that's going on with anything else?
Nope, nope.
Okay, then on to new business. Consider approving the vacation adjustment for Damian Bartek, Town Clerk, and Faye Zukowski, Municipal Assistant, according to General Bylaw, Article 21, Personal Bylaw, and Vacations, Section 1, Vacation Year and Accrual Rate Table.
Okay, so this is an outcome of the town meeting vote about municipal, people who have come from prior municipalities with years of service that previously were not credited with those years of service. I said that this only affects a few people on our staff, and these are the only two that I know of that are not able to be contracted, who, or able to be contracted for one of them, but not in a contract, who came with prior years of municipal service. So I had both employees reach out and get verification from the Worcester Regional Retirement Board of their total years of service. Ms. Bartek has 5.5 years of service. So if she was on that table, she would be at 3 weeks vacation. She's currently at 2 weeks vacation. And Ms. Zukowski has 16 years of service. She would be at 4 weeks vacation. She's currently at 2 weeks vacation still. So what I am asking to do is to, and I did talk with counsel about the legal procedures, I can do this by a letter, but as you recall, increasing the vacation time for these folks with prior municipal service does require approval of the select board. I would be asking that we increase their vacation time to the 3 weeks and 4 weeks respectively, but prorated to the town meeting vote date. Because their vacation time, I see the question there, their vacation time, they got their 2 weeks vacation time on July 1st already for the year. Their switch to an accrual system doesn't move until July 1st of next year. So because the vote didn't happen until town meeting, just for fairness principle, prorating it from that date for that additional time.
So will that be their vacation anniversary date now?
No, their vacation anniversary date stays the same, but they each have 2 weeks on the books as of July 1st.
But they start
And
paying
so,
the
and,
accrual on that day.
no, let me, if I could finish. So as of July 1st of this year, they each have 2 weeks of vacation time on the books. However, if we grant an additional week for Ms. Bartek, an additional week for Ms. Zukowski, or additional 2 weeks for Ms. Zukowski, that additional week and additional 2 weeks would be prorated from, not a full year's worth, so not a full week, not a full 2 weeks, because it would only be from the town meeting date. On July 1st of 2024, they would start accruing, like the remainder of the staff, the 3 weeks and 4 weeks respectively, going forward.
Functionally, how much does that proration?
It's about 3/4.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Yeah, so moved then. Yeah. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You're welcome. Next is consider approving the one-day liquor license for M&T Hospitality, Inc., DBA The Mill Restaurant on December 3rd, 2023, for the tree lighting activities on the Common. I'll speak to this one. The Celebrations Committee asked the Mill if they'd be willing to serve spiked hot chocolate and/or a signature drink. The tree lighting is from about 4:30 till 5:30, 6 o'clock-ish. The Mill has agreed. Don't have the exact details of what it's going to be, but this is not going to be a beer garden type thing. It's going to be adults bringing their kids are going to have 1 or 2 drinks over an hour and a half. We approached him, he didn't approach us, so I asked for your support on this one.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Chief, get ready.
Well, we still got to get the approval for the field use, and Dennis has to sign off on it, so that's the next step. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Consider approving the application to transfer a business license from Kista Corp., DBA The Manor Restaurant, to F&F Restaurant Group LLC, DBA The Manor Restaurant, 42 West Boylston Street. This is different than what we just did?
Yeah, this is just their regular license. Business license.
Oh, okay, got it. See, this is what I was expecting underneath the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. So moved. Consider Select Board appointment of Doug Urquhart to the Cultural Council for a term to expire April 20th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consider an employee contract with Cheryl Ketty as interim department assistant.
So moved.
Can we hear the contract?
So this goes part and parcel with the next agenda item. So the Jessica Pritchard, the Department Assistant for Inspectional Services, has given her resignation. She's moved on for a position in the private sector, although I heard she might be reconsidering, so we'll see if we have to execute this. But Cheryl Ketty, for those of you that don't know, was the longtime department assistant who recently retired for the building department. She has agreed to come back on an interim basis while we try to fill the position. Hours not to exceed 20 per week at a rate of $30 per hour.
Okay,
The motion is still there.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Acknowledge the resignation of Jessica Pritchard, Department Assistant, Inspectional Services, effective November 27th, 2023. I think Jen just said that we may not be acknowledging, we may be unacknowledging that.
I hope
The next
so.
Do
meeting.
we want to table this to the next meeting then?
No, I think, I'm working on her a bit, but I think that she's found something that might be a little bit more aligned with her passion. But I still gotta try. We've done this in the past, where I think Emmanuel, I don't know if he's on, Emmanuel gave his resignation notice in February of last year, extended it every month before ultimately rescinding it.
Okay.
Town Administrator's report.
Okay, thank you. So, as of November 10th, 2023, Reliant Medical is no longer providing any occupational medicinal services. So we have a new occupational health provider. It's American Family Care, AFC. There are some minor increases to the service costs, but considering the ease of location and their similar services that they provide and other towns having good experiences with them, I felt like this was the way to go. It's not an exclusive agreement, so if we find it's not working for us, we can move on. I believe the board received an email, but I just wanted to make sure I publicly acknowledge the town of Princeton recently sent a letter of thanks to our DPW for assisting in the September 12th major flooding incident. I wanted to read, your immediate response to our highway department was instrumental in getting our town promptly back to close to normal. I want to bring this up because although we don't have formal intermunicipal agreements with other municipalities and other neighbors for all sorts of things, often we do rely on each other for things like this. There was another matter that I sent out a call for help this week, and I had neighboring towns offering to assist. So we want to be able to do that for them as well, and I just appreciate when we're able to do it for somebody else as well. Regional animal control, so yes.
On that last thing that you had a request for other towns, are we gonna get do you want us to make a letter like this to acknowledge their thank you?
If they come through.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Yes, but great point. I think that that's important, that when somebody does help us out to give that public recognition, it just helps to go to working together as a Central Massachusetts team. So, speaking of working together, very beginning discussions about regionalizing animal control. Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, CMRPC, plays a role in the area of working on intermunicipal and regional agreements and making matches where they can. They reached out about would we be interested in having animal control services regionalized. And there was a meeting with West Boylston, Boylston, Berlin, Lancaster, and Harvard. All of these towns are kind of doing it the way that we do it, which is a low stipend, and the services are what they are, and the person often has another full-time job. So we're looking at the possibility of having one full-time person that could be shared across the area, and to keep it as, for West Boylston, it would be very close to budget neutral. So I look forward to keeping the board apprised as this discussion moves forward. Would be targeting FY '25, July 1st, as the start date, if it all works out.
We do, at current time, we do have an animal control officer.
That's correct. Yeah, so we have an animal control officer who's paid a stipend and responds to incidences when they occur, and also has a full-time job elsewhere. This would be a person who was dedicated to these communities full-time. Thank you, good question. The board may recall, you had charged the solid waste advisory team several months back with several tasks, and they are near completion of one of their first tasks, which is an analysis on trash bag fees, and they are preparing to come before the select board for you all to consider their recommendations for an increase to the pay-as-you-throw bags. I do want to note that the town of West Boylston has the lowest pay-as-you-throw bag fees in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and fees have not been raised in 15 years. So they've done some analysis, and they're going to be presenting a variety of options as well as a recommendation to the board in December. The Massachusetts Municipal Managers Association Conference is tomorrow and Friday morning in Worcester. I will be attending. There is, the large majority of the topic is on code of conduct, public discourse, running meetings, a lot in this that's Southborough case that we've discussed. And so I hope that we have good information to bring back that will assist the town in West Boylston. Veterans Day breakfast was last Friday. It was a well-attended event. I want to thank the Senior Center, the Senior Center Director, Jake Webb, our Veteran Service Officer, and most importantly to the veterans themselves for their service. Additionally, today was the first veteran coffee hour at the Senior Center. Jake wasn't sure how that was going to go. He had to bring in extra tables and chairs. There were over 20 folks in attendance, and it looks like this might branch out into multiple little subgroups, female veterans, younger veterans, older veterans. So really excited to see where this goes. Winter parking ban. So last year, the board took a vote on winter parking ban that winter parking ban will be from December 1st to April 15th, or whenever there is inclement weather outside of those times. The notice went up today on the town website and on social media. And so there is no parking from midnight to 5 a.m. During December 1st to April 15th, or at any time during a storm.
We took a vote on that. Is that something, do we need to make that a policy, or, I mean, was that vote in perpetuity, or?
The way that I read the minutes, I took it as in perpetuity. You certainly could make a policy, just to have it be clearer that this is.
What's gonna happen is, 10 years from now, we're
No
gonna
one
be
will
saying,
remember.
why is this and nobody's gonna know, because it was at some meeting, so I think we should put that as a future agenda item to codify that.
Okay.
You want the fire hydrant? Fire hydrant?
Yes, will there be any announcements about fire hydrants this evening?
Do that in June 15th, we'll have that meeting.
The House of Representatives this week voted on a supplemental budget bill. I had been reporting to the Select Board that Representative Jim O'Day was looking for a vehicle to get an extension for the Mixter earmark, and he was successful in getting that amendment into this sub-budget. So it reads that to extend the time, not to expire before June 30, 2024. Hopefully, the Senate will incorporate this similar earmark, and if not, that it will prevail in the conference committee. So I'll keep you apprised. Next is, I received notification this week from the firefighters union, Local 5054, that they would like to begin bargaining. So think about it. At the next Select Board meeting, we'll be picking 2 folks for the bargaining team. Maybe not Raj and Christina. Maybe Raj and Christina. I don't know. Maybe they'll just be our bargainers.
I think they should be the bargaining.
And lastly, the trustees of the Beaman Memorial Library have selected Michael Long to be West Boylston's new library director. He'll be joining the town on December 11th. He has a long history of library services. He's been local. Most recently, he's on the South Shore, but looks like he'll be moving back this way. And once he is settled, we'll be inviting him to appear before the Select Board and introduce himself more generally to the community. I think that's it. Yes.
Is there any news about the Pride Park, how that stuff went in, and if that was a successful installation in the fact of the weather?
There is not news that is available for public at this time. I'm happy to update the board via email. I'm not quite sure where that might be going long-term. So just in case it does end up taking a turn, I don't want that publicly discussed at a meeting at this time. But I will share the communications that actually went around today.
I apologize. I drove by. It looked like it was there.
No, so the material is in. The material is there. It's where it goes from here.
Okay.
And it's just not right for public discussion.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else have anything for Jen? Meetings, invitation, try that again. Meetings, invitations, and announcements. Assistance is requested with flag removal from veterans' graves. Please meet at Mount Vernon Cemetery, Saturday, November 18th at 9 a.m. Future agenda items, Select Board reports. It's not going to snow yet, so I'm not going to do mine. Do we need to read both of these executive sessions simultaneously?
Yes, so read both of them. And then that we will make your declaration of the detrimental effect, and then the announcement that we'll not be returning to open session.
All right. Consider entering into executive session under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, Town of West Boylston versus Gabriel 23 MISC 000532, and the chair declares that an open meeting discussion may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body. And the second is considering entering into executive session under the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 30, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to negotiations with non-union personnel, DPW Director, and the chair declares that an open meeting discussion may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body. Do we have a motion? Do I declare first?
Yeah, make a declaration.
I so declare.
Quick question, and maybe this is pedantic, but is this 2 instances of executive session or just 1 executive session with 2 items?
One executive session with the 2 items.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
and there might be different folks in the room for each.
Got it.
Roll call.
So you made a motion second on,
So you need a roll call.
Do you want to call the
Do
roll?
we have a second?
I just seconded.
Okay.
Mr. Frieden?
Yes.
Mr. Rajesh Kumar?
Yes.
Mr. Crowley?
Yes,
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
and we are not
We're not
We are
returning.
not returning to open session.
Thank you.